In this mini lecture, we're going to look at how to use our financial calculator to calculate the net present value and internal rate of return for a project in our capital budgeting unit. So we start with our calculator and we clear everything out. And so you have 0 here. The keys that we're going to use are in this second column. So you'll see cash flows, NPV, IRR, and then a arrow key. And then we'll also be using this down arrow and possibly this up arrow. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we're going to go to our cash flow. So you see the CF button. We're going to press that and you'll see a CF 0. So this corresponds to cash flow 0. And from a previous problem, I have minus 175 in there. And actually, that's this problem. But we're going to start from scratch. So I'm going to go our CF. That gives us this. Then I'm going to go second, and then clear to the bottom, clear work. So we're starting with a clean slate. If you don't do that, the calculator could have values from a previous problem in there, and that will screw up your results. Okay, so we start with CF0, okay, and then we're going to put in our C cash flow 0 here is a minus 175, so that's the cost of our project. So we're going to go 175, we're going to make it negative since it's a cost, and then we're going to hit enter. Now you'll see once you do that, you'll get the equal sign and then our value here. And then we're going to move down to the successive cash flows. So we're going to go with our down arrow, and we see C01. So that's cash flow 1. Our cash flow 1 is $75. So we're going to go 75, and then we're going to enter that. You see it? We get the equals here when it's entered. And now we're going to hit our down arrow, and what you'll see is F01. Now for now and you'll see over here it says 1, and that's the default. That indicates the number of times that 75 shows up. Now, for our purposes, I'm just going to skip over that. And so we're going to want to hit our down arrow again until we get our C2. So it'll always tell you which cash flow you're entering, which is a convenient feature. So our second cash flow is 75. Then we hit enter. And then down for, now we see our F2. We're going to go past that. And we get our C3. Our C3 is $50, so that's the third cash flow. And those are our only cash flows for project A. Now we need to enter the discount rate, or from the slide, our weighted average cost of capital, which is, for now we're just going to take that as given, and that's our discount rate. So what we're going to do is go NPV, and you'll see it's going to ask you for the I, the discount rate. And so we're going to put in a 10 and then enter, get this. Okay, so we've entered all the information in this column, and now we want to calculate the NPV. So we're going to go with our down arrow, and you'll see it says compute NPV, and we just hit our compute key here, and we get negative 7.269. Okay. Now, what is that exactly? How do we interpret that? Okay, so if we went and did it long way, we would take the present value, discounting each of these cash flows at 10%. So this one is today at 0. Cash flow 1 has a present value of 68, 61, and so forth. And we get, minus 7.27. So what that's telling us, the way we interpret that is, if this company pursued project A, so they do project A, it would result in stockholders' wealth going down by $7.27. So we don't want to do that. But you can see how we didn't have to compute all these present values. We let the calculator do it for us. So let's do another one. Project B. So if we're going to start out, we go cash flow, second clear. That gives us a clean slate. We go 43 negative, enter. down 1, so we have cash flow 1, 30, enter, down twice, so we see cash flow 2, we get 10, enter, down twice, cash flow 3 is 20, enter. Then we're going to put in the discount rate, so we NPV, it cues us for the I, and our I is 10. Put that in, inputted all the data, so then we go the down arrow, says compute NPV, and so we just go compute, and we get $7.56. Okay, so let's correspond those. If we did it long way, we get $7.56. And again, what that means is by doing this project, the company's, the stockholders' wealth would go up by $7.56 in present value terms. Okay, now let's do the internal rate of return. So we're going to clear, second, or so cash flow second, clear. Our cash flow is 175, change the sign, enter. We go down, we have 75, enter, down until we get cash flow 2, which is also 75, enter, down 2, cash flow 3 is 50, enter. And now what we're going to do is we're going to hit IRR, and then we just compute. And we get the internal rate of return is 7.47%. Okay, now this is one of those things you're going to have to do with your calculator. You'll need a financial calculator to do this. Now, the internal rate of return, by definition, is if we discounted these cash flows at 7.47%, we would get an NPV of 0. So let's go see that we do. I want to do, in fact, get an NPV of 0. Okay, so let's do project B now. We go second, CF second, clear. 43 negative, enter. Cash flow 1 is 30, enter. Down 2, cash flow 2 is 10, enter. Cash flow 3 is 20, enter. We want to know IRR, so we hit IRR, and then we hit compute, and we get 20.85. Okay, now if we discount each of these cash flows at 20.85%, do we in fact get an NPV of 0? And the answer is, of course, yes, which means that confirms that 20.85 is in fact the internal rate of return for that set of cash flows.